Shalom. I like to say all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Kodesh. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of JMS, to the true leaders of Israel today, and salutations to my Akim, who do this work in truth and sincerity, who are risking their lives and their freedoms to do so, as well as the scattered Israelites who come looking like the heathen, but are not by way of their forefathers' seeds for Israelite men. The true name of the Most High is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahushai, and the Lord's holy chosen people are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as we're the ones who suffer under the curses in the book of Deuteronomy. This is your brother Akali from the JMS Jamaica Kingston camp, and this video is about the end of days, man, and the Spirit's been on that very heavily, you know what I'm saying, because we truly are at the end of days. We're at the end of the rulership of the Edomites, who are these so-called white people, man. All right, we can clearly see the prophecies are building up to hit their climax. All right, the World War III prophecy, the prophecy of Jacob's trouble, the mark of the beast prophecy, which is a microchip, the famine, the pestilence, all of these things, man, the martial law, all of these prophecies, man, are building up. Even the famine of the word prophecy, it's getting harder and harder for the men of the Lord, starting with our elder apostle Tahar, to be able to preach certain things as it regards to prophecy, man, because Esau, Edom, they in full control, and they're against this word, and anything that is too connected to what's going on, you know what I'm saying, they be striking the video. And when I say that, let me just clarify. I mean, like, there be like articles that be coming out and whatever else regarding certain current events, and you can't speak about these certain current events in the way that, you're bringing truth about it. They're going to strike your video, and they're going to strike your channel, and they're going to take away your channel and all these things. You know what I'm saying? So these kinds of movements are moving towards that famine of the word. And then, of course, we know our persecution is coming as well. We've seen sporadic moments, I'd say, where Esau, Edom, he builds his case against us. You know what I'm saying? All of these things are coming, man. So we really, in that time, the elder apostle Tahar, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemeshai, named this year the hasting of the coming of the day of Yahweh Shemeshai, the year of hasting, man. All right, and we hasten for that day daily, you know what I'm saying? But we gonna get to a point very soon that we gonna be in Jacob's trouble, man. So we gonna be hasting even more so for the day of our Lord Yahushua to return. So this is 2nd Ezra chapter 6 verse 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times, or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So Esau rules the world right now, man. All right, and when it talks about the world, it's talking about this age. All right, that aeon. All right, when you look in the New Testament and you go to the word world, you'll see the word aeon there. All right, in some parts, and then you'll see the word oikumene in other parts. All right, so right here it means the world, meaning the age of the period of the rulership of the Edomites, the kingdom of the Edomites, and then the kingdom of the Israelites is coming next, man, which is the kingdom of righteousness. So what is it that will let us know that we're coming to this time? The prophecies. All right, now we have some current events that are going on, and let's just get into it and relate it to prophecy. Now, I'm not going to be playing any of these videos, man. All right, just the title. If you're interested in watching these videos, you can go and watch it. You know what I'm saying? But here it is from RT. All right, full show, is a proxy war between Iran and Israel imminent? Well, it most certainly is. All right, because it says that World War III is going to be kicking off, and that Bible prophecy says that Iran and Israel will be major players in this. Okay. Now we can even just get the precept real quick in Revelation chapter 11 and verse 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. So second woe, World War II. Third woe, World War III. It's coming, man. All right. And then this war is going to be called Revelation chapter 16 verse 16. And he gathered them together into a place called, in the Hebrew tongue, Armageddon. Say, how about Shemeshai going to gather all these heathen nations, man, to that place, man? And then we gonna have, you know, the World War III. Joel chapter 3 verse 9, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears, let the weak say, I'm strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord Yahweh. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. So that's Yahweh's judgment, man. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. So the Most High is going to gather all the heathen up over there in the so-called Middle East. All right. There's a reason why it has been an area of contention for decades. Okay. And, you know, these Iranians, they have their part to play. Let's go to 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 30. Also the Carmanians raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the lands of the Assyrians. All right, so the Carmanians are talking about the Elamites, and the Elamites today are known as the Iranians. All right, who were formerly known as the Persians. All right, so their real biblical nationality is that they're called the Elamites. And so let's go to Google. All right, so from iranicoonline.org, it says Carmania, region east of Fars province, approximately equivalent to modern Kerman, the old Persian form Krearmano or Karmano, rendered as Elamite, you see? So the old Persian form, the Elamites, man. All right, so this is them. All right, and they are the Carmanians. Okay? See? Carmanian referred to as Persian clan, you know? And Persians, once again, are known as the Iranians today. So there's that proof right there, man. All right? And then Iran, and then, I mean, Israel, they are part of it, man. They work, you know, hand in hand with America. You know, as it says, the least of the flock. Get it? All right. Jeremiah chapter 50 verse 45. Therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord Yahweh that he hath taken against Babylon, talking about America, which is Mystery Babylon the Great, also known as spiritually Sodom and Egypt, also known as the second leg of the Roman Empire, and his purposes, also known as spiritually Egypt, and his purposes that he had purpose against the land of the Chaldeans, talking about the Edomites. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out, talking about those Israelis, man. All right. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. So the state of Israel is going to draw America out to war over there in the so-called Middle East, and they're going to lose. All right. It lets you know in Joel chapter 2 verse 20, man, this as well. All right. So that's what's going to be going on. Then we can just jump on over to the next video. All right, so this one, Iran expects more attention to Middle East ahead of Ahmadinejad campaign. The recent escalation in the Middle East saw many Muslim nations criticize Israel over what they branded war crimes in Gaza, something Tel Aviv has strongly denied. Iran has been among the most notable critics, and for some insights into Tehran's position, we spoke to the election campaign chief of the former President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Jad. Okay. All right, let's just listen to a little bit of this.
Criticise Israel over what they branded war crimes in Gaza. Well, the recent escalation in the Middle East did see many Muslim nations criticise Israel over what they branded war crimes in Gaza, something Tel Aviv, though, has strongly denied. Iran has been among the most notable critics, and for some insight into Tehran's position, we did speak to the election campaign chief of the former President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad.
There have been many UN resolutions regarding the people of Palestine, but unless they are respected, such escalations will be unavoidable. So the side that is failing to observe these resolutions is at fault. What we're looking for is mutual understanding, based on which all the stakeholders in this conflict, especially the Palestinians, can have their legal rights recognized by the world. We expect more attention on the part of the international community to this issue. We also expect them to take practical measures. The world is watching how the resolutions are issued, and while some are being observed, others don't seem to have any guarantees behind them. There are clearly double standards at play here. It's not tenable to keep the population of Gaza under a severe blockade.
All right, so as you can see, man, the heathen over there, they're looking at the Edomites, because the state of Israel, those are Edomites, ruled by Edomites and stuff like that. These so-called Muslim nations, all right, which are so-called Arab nations, they looking at what's going on, and they're not having it, man. All right, low key, and the Yahweh Shemisha is slowly building that spirit upon them. So we can go back to the second Ezra chapter 15 and just jump up to verse 28. Behold, an horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots. So the nations of the dragons of Arabia is talking about these Muslim nations, man, that was just referred to, all right, who are actually, Ishmaelites. You know what I'm saying? That's their biblical nationality. And the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Right, so they're going to be going out there to war, man, those so-called Arab nations, man. And I just wanted to go back to 2nd Ezra chapter 15 verse 30 and mention that when it says, "I shall waste a portion of the Assyrians is talking about these Edomites, man. All right, because they're going to lose. Okay. And then, of course, Iran has its allies, her allies, which is Russia. Ezekiel chapter 38, Gog and Magog. It mentions the allies of Russia, which it mentions the Persians, or the Iranians. Then it mentions the so-called African nations. It mentions Turkey as well. All right, so they're going to be going out there to battle, man. And this is all you have by Shemishai building this up. Okay, so this is on the World War III front. And then let me just read these parts right here, because the famine is coming as well, man, and the famine is huge. There's a shortage of everything, and global supply chains are in a state of complete and utter chaos. It wasn't that long ago that our economy was running like a clockwork. Wherever you went, you could find what you needed, and whatever you wanted to order, you knew it would arrive in time. Prices were low and global supply chains were perfectly functional, and everyone expected things to continue that way for the foreseeable future. Then the crisis hit, and alongside with it, it came chaos. The media alarmed the population as if the apocalypse was here. Led by fear, people started wiping out grocery shelves in multiple ways of panic buying. Shortages became a common thing. At that time, we thought that they were only going to be temporary. Now we are not so sure about that anymore. Meanwhile, our leaders keep telling us that this is a recovering economy, which that's a lie. All right, it's not recovering. Okay, but how can that be true if economic conditions continue to get worse and shortages are spreading across more and more industries with each passing day? Is this a recovery? Does it mean that shortages and explosive prices are the new normal? At this point of 2020, we're experiencing a level of scarcity of products far worse than anything that we experienced in 2020. At this point in 2021. Okay, so boom, right there, man. All right, and the inflation. All right, people are feeling the inflation worldwide, man. And so, we're starting to see the true nature, the true plan of what this so-called crisis was for, man. All right, and that is to tear down the economy. All right, to shatter it, to destroy the way that it is, and to get rid of the cash. so that they can move forward with their new way of buying and selling, which will be that market chip, which is the mark of the beast. All right. They're going to tear down this entire economy and destroy it. And they're going to say, they're going to blame it on whatever, which they most likely will blame the people, because you know how Esau, Edom do. All right. And then they're going to bring about their new solution, because the old economy would have been obviously a failure because it would have failed. All right. And then boom, they come with the solution, you know. It's that Hegelian dialect, man, that Esau Edom knows to push, was problem, reaction, solution. All right, and they've been had their solution ready for you people a long time ago, man. All right, they're just moving forward with their plans. So starvation and food shortages will be the new normal once the imminent economic collapse hits. The acute supply shortages we have been seeing since the beginning of the crisis are actually not something new in the history of the United States. Throughout the past century, America faced several crises, external and internal conflicts, and economic downturns. Times of shortages are far more common than people can remember, and in the old days, hoarding and panic buying already existed. People used to stock up on everyday essentials ranging from flour to toilet paper, not very different from what happens today. However, except for 2 periods of extreme drought, food shortages have often been second-order crises caused by political and economic tensions, not by the lack of food per se. Yet there were other moments when multiple determinants resulted in severe shortages too, like the Great Depression of the 1930s. If there's something we could learn from the supply chain disruptions induced by the effects of the health crisis, is that food shortages do not mean food doesn't exist. It means that food isn't available on grocery shelves where consumers can easily find it. In 2020, during the peak of you know, you can't be reading certain things because they're going to strike you. The threat of lockdowns prompted millions of people to rush into the stores and leave shelves empty. So, you know, we know that this problem is going on, right? The supply chain's been hit on all these kinds of things, all right? And, you know, it mentions as well that there may be a food scarcity, but that doesn't mean that there isn't any food. And eventually it's just going to come to the point where in order for you to get food, you're going to have to be market chipped, point blank, period. All right. And then, of course, you know, the famine is coming. This is a part of the judgment from Yahweh Shemishai. So we're still in 2nd Ezra chapter 15. And I'm just going to bring this out right here. Verse 5, behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. So famine is coming, man. And the famine is going to be taking you people by storm. All right? It truly is going to be taking you people by storm. And when you go down here, you know, it's going to get real bad because, you know, it says, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled. Verse 18, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So the lack of bread and great tribulation is coming, and Jacob's trouble is coming upon you people very, very soon, man. All right, it's trickling in. It really is trickling in. But, you know, the prophecies are going to be popping off like a woman that's in birth. You know, this is alluded to so many times, but it's true, man. You know, first it's like slow, and then the closer the child comes, which the child is going to be in the kingdom of heaven. You know what I'm saying? It's the contractions are gonna get faster and faster, and it's going to, you know, it's just gonna speed up. But we in this time, man, and you can look at the things that are going on around the world. You know, we're watchmen, man, and we're here to let you people know what's going on. All right. So with that, I'd like to say all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shemi Shai Bashim Kodesh. Wa Abad Babal Shalom.